Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. I am here with one of my all-time favorite people, Katharine McPhee, who is back to close out Waitress in the role of Jenna in Sarah Bareilles' hit musical Waitress, now through January 5th, right?
5th.
All right.
That's right.
How does it feel to be back?
It's so great. It's like when I walked in through the dressing room, I'm like, well, it looks better than the last time I was in here because Shoshana, I think, did this lovely wallpaper, but it felt kind of just exactly how it felt when I left. Just a lot of the same people have come back. I left, a lot of people left, and then they've all kind of come back. So it feels good. It feels the same. It feels really nice.
Because I was like, you and I spoke like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Right before you started.
Right before I started, yeah.
You hadn't gone back into rehearsal. How many rehearsals did you have?
I think I did about 3 brush-up rehearsals, 3 brush-up, and then 1 full run-through, and that was it. I mean, that was kind of all I needed. I just needed like one run-through to kind of go like, oh, well, what mark am I on? Was it supposed to be 3 or 4, you know? Of course, it was a little different than when I did it in London. So, but yeah, I felt pretty good. The first show still felt a bit like out-of-body experience.
What was that like, the first one? Because you got an audience, the lights again.
Yeah, it's different than it felt the very first time. The very first time I was like, oh God, do I go right? Yes, okay, yeah, you're right. This one felt more overall just nervous, you know, just trying to, whoa, the sound is a little different than when it was my first dress rehearsal and things like that. Just, you know, little things distract you. As when you settle in, you get less distracted. So that's the difference between like the first show and being settled into a show, is that you're less distracted by like, oh, that just fell, or that didn't sound the way it was supposed to, or whatever. So, or I dropped this line.
Yeah.
I'm pretty consistent now.
Well, you know, you made your Broadway debut in this show.
I
Very,
did.
very special. You and I spoke numerous times about that. They're really magical things. I mean, what do you remember the most about that first run here in Waitress?
Wow. This show's been very special for me for a lot of reasons. I mean, making your Broadway debut, I always dreamt of making a Broadway debut, and I had other opportunities to do that with certain shows, but I felt like this one felt really special to me. And, you know, anything you choose to go down a road with, you want it to feel special. You know, you don't want to just do it just because like, oh, I want to do Broadway. I want to do something that I really care about. But I mean, for me, so many things happened. I was on a show for 4 years, and everyone thought it was going to come back for a 5th season. It was called Scorpion on CBS. And while a lot of fans were disappointed, I was actually like okay with that because I was ready to move on. So it was nice because I got to stay in the show a little bit. But you know, my dad passed during it's okay, during the course of me coming back to complete the show. I got engaged during the course of doing this show. So there's a lot of like, I've been really reflective in the last few weeks about like what the show means to me and kind of what has happened to me in my life since I joined the show. And, you know, like I never would have imagined that I would enter a show, make a Broadway debut, have, you know, a big engagement, and then have something so huge like the loss of my father, and it just being so abrupt and traumatizing, and then have this beautiful show as an outlet to kind of like get me through it. And then I ended up doing the show in the West End, like opening the show and having that whole experience and making friends in London. Like I can actually go to London now and have friends and say, hey, do you want to have drinks? I'm here in town. And then I got married in London. So the show has really been a huge transition show for me. Transition period in my life. Yeah. And really, like, if you think about it, that's what this show is with Jenna too. Like, this is a huge transition show, not for her, moment in her life where these things are happening. She's starting to awaken to all these new possibilities. And so it's been very special for me to, you know, I didn't originate it, but I do feel so close and connected to it. And especially since I got the chance to open it in London and create something there with new people. And so that's the long answer, but it's been very special for me. Yeah.
You know, this is a very magical year for you, like you said.
Yeah.
I just got back from London. I fell in love with it all
You
over again.
did.
And I went over to your theater where Waitress is still playing, to packed houses.
It's still doing great.
Yeah, it's doing great
Which
business,
I take a lot of pride in because, you know, you help set up a show, and it's like very exciting to know a show's doing so well. So.
But like you said, you fell in love with London.
Yeah.
And you got married there.
I did. It had nothing to do with Waitress, actually, but it ended up being so great because I got to like end up being there and planning stuff while I was doing the show, and my friends who I made through the show were, excited, and I had people to talk to of the wedding plans about, so it was pretty great.
So what's married life like? You're married to David Foster, one of the nicest men in the business. Just I want to put that out there.
The best.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. We're just really happy. Like we just are really. I've got a good thing going. We started as friends for a long time, so I think that and we're just a good balance for each other. We really. I love supporting him and helping him, and vice versa, making the best decisions we can possibly make, and being a team. It's really great.
Yeah. How are you juggling the holidays this year?
Well, we're here. So anyone watching this, you will be spending the holidays with me if you come on Christmas or a night of Hanukkah. But you know what? Like, honestly, it's really nice. We're staying at the very nice. I'll plug it because why not? They didn't pay me to do this, but we're staying at the Carlisle, and it's so nice. Yeah. We've got a really good room rate, so that's why we're staying there. But it's in a hotel. It's like super Christmassy, so it's great. And then we got a little tree for a hotel room. So, my husband has one of his daughters here with their family and their extended family. My mom's coming to fly in, so we're gonna just like make the most of it. We have Christmas Eve off. We're gonna cook, and my husband has an apartment here that his daughter lives in, so it's gonna be great. Like we're gonna just have we're gonna make the most of it. Yeah, we'll be on. Like people say, oh, that's a bummer. You have to do a show on Christmas, and I'm like, actually, it's fine because I'm here for 6 weeks. It's a specific job to come close out the show, and it actually makes me feel like spirited and holiday, Christmassy to do a show on Christmas. I feel like what a nice thing to do for a group of 900 something people to have a show on Christmas. I hope it snows. That's all I gotta say.
There's nothing better than New York at the holidays, like you said.
That's what I think.
Carlisle is stunning.
It's so
old world New York.
I know. And they've renovated, right? So like, I'm gonna send this to the manager and be like, I hope you appreciate.
Put him up for a year at the Carlisle.
We went and saw Steve Tyrell there. He had to put on a great show. He does a residency there every year. I perform there, so we're having a great time. We're just like loving being there, and the Christmas decorations are great. The food is great. The drinks are great. So I'm not hurting this holiday season. I'm doing pretty good.
Well, let's talk about concerts. I mean, you like to do concerts, right? Especially like the Carlisle is small and intimate.
Oh yeah, so I've done that before there. I know. I was supposed to. They asked me to do some dates in October, and we'd been traveling so much in the summer that I was like, oh, I just can't allot this amount of time to stay in New York. But little did I know I was going to be coming back here for 6 weeks during the holidays. But I love doing concerts.
Yeah.
I'm doing 2 nights with Bocelli at the Madison Square Garden, Wednesday and Thursday.
What are those dates?
This Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, the 18th and 19th.
Okay.
But that's different because it's like not my concert. Clearly, I'm not doing my own concert at Madison Square Garden. But it's nice because you just like go and do a few songs, and it kind of breaks up my schedule a little bit, and a little change of pace. And but yeah, my own shows, I love it. There's nothing like it, because people are there to see you, and it's you get to tell them stories about your life and sing great songs that you love, and so
you have such an incredible fan base.
I do.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, I've found this like Twitter following, this young, fun theater. I mean, I think a lot of them are fan base from theater, but also like from back in my Idol days, like who followed me through all my pop music and stuff. So I have a lot of fun playing with them online, and I think that I've gained a lot of fans from just being on with Waitress. That they're so supportive, and they love seeing all the different Jennas and things like that. So I have a blast with them.
Because we're waiting to set up. We're literally sitting in her dressing room, literally like an
my
hour before she goes on stage.
I color coordinated actually with the wall and the couch.
But I'm saying there were so many fans picking up tickets, and there was a whole line downstairs
was
of
there?
people who were like, "Oh, we have to go before.
I know, they get so
we're trying to get
excited.
tickets to the last performance." There's like nothing left.
There's,
for your run.
I mean, I'm sure Barry, the producer, is very happy. But the tickets have been doing selling really well. And the last show is actually completely sold out.
Yeah.
And I actually asked, I was like, do I get any tickets? First of all, You never get free tickets on Broadway. I don't even get free tickets.
Yeah.
But they're saying, oh my God, we do have like a section of tickets that we can give out. But they're going for like $600 a ticket. I'm like, forget that. I don't know anybody who wants to pay that much.
Sure you do.
I'm not paying that for anybody.
Your fans are.
Yeah, well, that's incredible.
What's it like meeting them at the stage door this time around?
I don't know. I feel like maybe, I guess it's like a little bit more familiar. Like they're more familiar with, they've seen me maybe in London, or they've seen the show. It's really nice. They're just very sweet, and they're very polite. They're always asking, like, can I take a picture? I'm like, yeah.
You know, we have to talk about Smash for a minute, because so many of us fell in love with you on that show.
Yeah.
And so many people have found Smash in reruns and
know.
everything else.
We'll talk about fans, like, who I meet. I just had this young girl at the stage door the other day who, she was quite young. She looked like she was like 16 or 17, and she's like, I just discovered Smash. I just binge watched it the other day. And I'm like, that's so amazing that people can find series from 6 years ago and fangirl about it. Fanboy, fangirl.
Yeah. It's a bigger hit now.
Oh yeah. It was a big mistake for them to cancel the show.
Yeah.
I think so. Like,
Totally
and I think even Bob Greenblatt was quoted saying that, like, he wished that he hadn't canceled it so early. He's not even at NBC anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was at a time when we were way ahead of the curve, and I think it was at a time that they didn't know how to monetize DVR numbers, right? Like, they didn't know how to, like, look at all these, oh my gosh, we have so many DVR viewers, and they are people who advertisers love and all that, and they just couldn't, like, equate it to, you know, proving.
More people were watching Smash than didn't.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you must have so many incredible memories of that show.
Yeah.
What did that show mean to you?
That show, to me, meant my childhood dreams coming true.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being in the recording studio with Megan Hilty, who I love and adore, and we were recording "Let Me Be Your Star," and I said to her, I remember so specifically saying, like, this is so crazy. And we barely knew each other at that point. We got on along really well right away. But I just said, isn't this so crazy? It just feels like all your childhood dreams are coming true. And when she goes, literally, it's exactly that. Yeah. It feels like all your childhood dreams are coming true. So that, for me, it just represents, like, something that, sure, I would love to have something else like that encompasses everything you've ever dreamt of, you know? I mean, being on stage does that as well. But, like, Smash was that first thing that really, I felt that I had worked so hard after post-Idol to get something that people really paid attention to and cared about and was like, wow, and saw you in a different way. And, you know, that for me was that moment. Even though it was short-lived, the 2 years, it's been nice because it's lived on, you know?
Going back to the beginning, where did your love for performing begin?
Well, that's a tricky question because my love for singing began much earlier than it began for performing.
Okay.
Because
So
I always
singing, what happened? How did you know you could sing?
I just was always singing. Well, my mom's a voice teacher, so I grew up with my mom giving kids and adults voice lessons all day long, right? So I'd come home from school, she'd be in the music room, and I'd hear the scales up and down. So it was just part of my upbringing, like music was always playing in the background. And so then I spent a lot of time on my own teaching myself, like Mariah Carey. And my mom didn't sing like that. She was more of a legit style singer, like she was an opera singer, but she was more of a legit traditional musical theater.
Yeah.
And so I loved Mariah Carey and Celine Dion and Boyz II Men. So I spent a lot of time self-teaching myself. So I just got better and better and better. But I always kind of, from very young, like, you know, when you hear a little girl sing and she has like a tiny little vibrato and you're like, wow, she has a natural talent for that. So I think I just was aware of it quite young, but I didn't perform as much as I probably should have or been pushed to, because that's where you really learn, right? You like really hone in on your skills.
Was there a defining moment for you? When you're like, I want to try to make a career at this?
I mean, I always knew I wanted to make a career out of it, but I had to really, like, getting up to perform in front of people was very scary for me. And I still, to this day, like, get terrified. And I still will go, like, what exactly are you so scared of? And I can't figure it out. You know, it's just, I guess the perfectionist in you and in everyone, but in me, in my case, where it's like that fear of what you know you have to lean on, your talent, will just like not be as perfect as you want it to be, or fail somehow, you know. So
or not living up to the expectations of what you think people are expecting.
right, or knowing like how
Yeah.
good it can be and it not being as good, and then you disappointing yourself. So I think that's probably more of like the fear of stage, like where stage
Yeah.
fright comes in, is that like you know you could do it at a 95%, but you get so nervous that it sometimes is like an 82%, and then you're always disappointed in that percentage that could have been better. And I think that's where the stage fright comes from. It's like the pressure you put on yourself.
But I think only you see that. No one else does.
That's true, but some people do.
Yeah.
You know, some people, like my husband, for
All right,
instance.
well.
You know, he's got ears like I do, where you
Yeah.
hear every little note that's like, but that's the great thing about theater, is that it's why, you know, I hate when people record the live performances in theater, because what you end up hearing on a YouTube, it's like as an audience and you in that live experience, you didn't hear that one
Yeah.
bad note. You were organically just taken over by the story. But if you record it and you YouTube it and you put it, and then everyone's just going like, oh, that wasn't very good, or that, but you weren't there to experience it, and so you're judging it from like an artificial standpoint.
Totally agree.
So that's why we always say, live theater is not meant to be, it's not edited, you know, it's not cut and pasted perfectly like a movie is, so that every little piece is seamless.
And it's between you and that audience, that given performance.
Exactly. So it's so out of context, it's just not, you know. But anyway, so my nerves, my performance anxiety started very, very young. You know, I just kind of always had that. I think had I performed live more as a little kid, I would have maybe gotten over the stage anxiety a little bit younger in my life.
You did Idol in front of millions and
I
millions
was
and millions of people.
mortified, terrified. It was, people were like, what was it like? I'm like, I mean, it changed my life. It was amazing. But like, I was so nervous. And what it did, because I didn't have the performance skills, like I didn't have the experience, I would be so terrified that I would tense up, right? So like, you would never sing as well as you could. And I'm not complaining, because I did really well. Obviously, I came in second place. But looking back, I can't even listen to those performances, because I know how much I've grown, right? So it's like, it's just, it was an amazing training ground for me, because I needed to have those live performances. I just wish that I'd had more of those live performances before I'd done Idol. So I would have been maybe a little bit more solid in what I was and what I was doing.
Reality TV is the most bizarre thing in the world.
Yeah. Well, reality TV is very bizarre. Idol, I like put it in a loose reality TV category, but talent competitions are terrifying if you don't have the experience to perform in front of millions of people. It's really it's a horrifying experience if you get stage fright. You know, some like, I remember Chris Daughtry would go out there and he would just like kill it every time, because he'd been performing in clubs for years and years and years. So it was like he had the experience. You know what I'm saying? He had the experience under his belt. So it wasn't as daunting to him.
I love how they do this. Is this what happens in the theater right before you go on?
They'll tell you when your food is here. They'll tell you when you have a visitor. But yeah, so my performance, my love for performing in the stage, like, came in high school and middle school when I was, doing the plays, and I loved the theater experience.
Because one of the first things you saw your mom in was Showboat,
Showboat,
right?
You know,
Oh, well,
you have all your.
Totally.
I didn't like that experience so much because she played Julie, who is supposed to be, she would probably never get cast as this anymore, but she's mulatto, as they say. I don't even know if it's politically correct to say that. But they did this thing where they had to cut her hand in the show to see if she, I don't know the full story, but if she was actually the heritage that she said she was. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah.
And for me as a 4-year-old, watching my mom's hand,
4?
I was 4, watching my mom's hand get cut. I have I was very upset. It was very traumatizing for me. I remember like crying in the theater. My dad consoling me, like, no, it's not real. It's acting. But because we were quite far away, and all I could see, and there was actually like blood that came out. So if you don't know the show, you'll be like, what?
What are you talking about? Google Showboat.
Go Showboat.
Yeah.
But then my mom did it quite a bit. Yeah, and like lots of regional productions and in.
So it was always in your family.
Yeah, it was. was.
Yeah.
My mom spent a lot of time teaching, but I know for the times that she did she did Man of La Mancha quite a bit.
Wow, great show.
She was great in her shows, and she loved doing the live theater stuff. But she was always like busiest doing teaching, and she's still so busy. She's like such a great vocal coach.
She must be your biggest fan.
She is. She's so cute. She
Yeah.
already came once to this opening here in New York.
Yeah.
She came to the original opening,
Yeah.
then the London opening, then she came to this opening, and then now she's coming back for Christmas. So she'll get to watch it one more time.
What are your pre-shows like? How early do you like to get to the theater normally?
You know, it's so different. I don't know if
Yeah.
people know this, like Broadway fans, theater fans know this, but in London, they have a very strict policy that they do company warm-ups, which
Yeah.
coming from like Broadway in New York, I was like, you're kidding me? Like, I have to get here an hour and a half early before I'm like, I don't need, they do.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like an insurance policy that, and I kind of understand it. And I've actually gotten weirdly, maybe someone who coming to see the show would be like, why would you get injuries? But I've actually gotten quite a few injuries from the show because, Jenna's like, everything's very, like, she turns her head quickly and, or at least just the way that thank you, the way that I play Jenna.
Yeah.
And so it actually makes sense that they do that because they want to cover themselves. And I actually grew to like it because I love the people and the cast so much. But here, I also appreciate the way we do here things here in New York is that usually the first few shows, when I'm trying to get myself adjusted to it, I'm here definitely an hour before the show. I like to take the time because I'm a little bit more nervous the first few times around. But in this case, it came early for you. And if I have no problem getting here a half hour before. I mean, it's always sometimes like embarrassing when I'm like walking in and then people are waiting to get into the theater and they're probably thinking like, God, is that all she has to do to get ready? Like come in like 20 minutes before the show. But
You're a professional. You know your stuff.
yeah, but the reality is I spend a lot of my like before getting to the theater, after getting out of the show, warming down. I have these little straws that I do use to blow through.
The straws are the new thing?
Yeah, to warm down my voice.
Okay.
And I do things beforehand, like I took a shower before I get here and I'm warming up. So it's not just like I roll in and I have to really, you have to be prepped. You can't just
Carlisle.
Yeah. I mean, for the matinees, I have to really get up like hours early because you're breathing and your voice is just not warm with an hour. You just need more time than that. For me, personally. Maybe there's some people who can just,
Well, I know you have a call.
We have a lift call.
You have a lift call in 5 minutes 6 minutes.
That's right.
So that's a big...
I wore this dress for you.
Yep.
Not sure how it's going to work out with the lift call, but it'll be fine. The guys will...
Yeah.
They'll be respectful.
My final question for you is, you live your life with such exuberance, style, and grace.
Oh, well, thank you.
How do you accomplish that? You always have. Because I met you early on. I met you on a Smash set. I met you with Michael Orland. Going to give a shout out to him.
That's nice. Well, listen, I really try. I can't say that I always handled every situation like coming off of Vital with this grace or whatever, But I do always try to be as kind and nice to people as possible, especially in work environments. I never want to be at my deathbed, which is hopefully a very long time from now, but say God, I could have been so much nicer to people. I just think that being nice and kind is one of the most valuable things you can do, and you can also still have your boundaries and still say what you need. But I think that there's just always it's always the way you ask for something, right? Or the way you say things, or so I appreciate that. Thank you. But it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I mean, sometimes I have to rush through the signing line and I see fans get upset that I didn't take as much time, but it's everyone has to take care of themselves, and everyone has to have a little bit of grace for people, and understanding that we're human too, and we do the best to obviously honor our fans who've made the show so successful, and I want to thank them for watching this and for being so great on the show.
Well, you make magic 8 times a week. I thank you. This is the start of her week. It's Monday night. She goes on literally in less than 45
and I have
minutes.
a cough all of a sudden. I've been coughing all day.
Really?
I'm going to be fine though, yeah.
So you're here till January 5th.
January 5th.
So if you can get a ticket to see Waitress and see her in this beautiful show, try to get one. And thanks for tuning in to Broadway World.
Make it work, make it easy, make it clever, craft it into pieces, make it sweet, crimp the edges, or make it sour. answer